This year I'm doing a camera challenge where I'm trying to shoot with one camera for 1 year. Every single day I have it with me, and that means that when I go on a trip, the camera also comes with me. My camera is a Rolleiflex. It's from the 1950s. It's the same model that was used by Vivian Maier, one of my photography heroes, and I took it with me to Scotland for a meetup with a bunch of other film photographers, just hanging out without any real program. And I had a great time, and I'm just going to kind of go through day by day what happened, the people who were there, and my experience shooting with the Rolleiflex. My plane left on the evening of May 14th, which was technically the first day of this film meetup. So it's called Film Gathering. Other people were getting there at like 12 o'clock. They were going to have lunch. They were going to meet, kind of get to know each other and chat. But I could only find a flight that arrived at about 10 p.m. I was going to get to the location an hour after that. And with getting my rental car and everything, it would be more like midnight that I would arrive. I haven't flown in a while, actually. I try not to fly that much to save CO2. That's why I also try not to talk too much. Hashtag the quiet American. Got on the plane. I did take a few photos. The good thing about flying in the evening is you get to see the sunset up above the clouds. And of course, I'm a basic boy after all. So I took some photos out the window. I was shooting Kodak Gold on an Edixa. It's an old West German camera with like a viewfinder on the top, which is similar to my Rolleiflex. I really like having ground glass on the top of a camera and being able to look down when I'm taking the image. And it was nice to use on a plane, although it did make me feel a little bit nauseous because everything was reversed. Anyway, then I landed in Amsterdam, switched to another flight, flew to Inverness, got in line to pick up my rental, found out that the very tiny Ford Focus that I had ordered was not available, and instead I was getting a Mercedes SUV. So I rented a car. What I'm getting is a Mercedes. It's quite late. I'm about to start driving, and it's so weird as an American to be sitting on this side of the car. The other surprise was apparently they drive on the left side of the road in the UK. I got my driver's license in the United States. I live in Germany, and like most countries in the world, sensible people drive on the right side of the road. Steering wheel is on the left side of the car. Now I'm confusing myself, but yeah, it's on the left side of the car when you get into drive. The last stretch was on a very, very windy road leading up to the house. Everybody was asleep because it was after midnight at this point. Woke up the next day, looked out my window, incredible view. There was like Scottish hills with some sheep grazing on them. So where we were staying was this kind of like big, I wouldn't say mansion, but a large house with a lot of different bedrooms. Yeah, that first morning I basically just walked around the house and explored a little bit. I went downstairs, slowly started to meet everybody. In total, there were 11 people, if I've counted correctly. And now I'm going to give you a breakdown of all the people who were there. There was Mikey, the chef. There was Sundari, who was one of the organizers. There was Izzy, who was the other organizer. There was myself. There was Liz, a photographer from the States like me. There was Greta, also lives in Frankfurt, the one person who I'd met before the trip. There was Maxine from Switzerland. There was Ben from the UK. There was Craig from the UK. There was Eleanor from the UK. And how could I forget? There was Rui from France. Slowly, everybody came down to breakfast. I got to say hello, meet everyone, and immediately right away, I just felt super comfortable. I don't always feel comfortable around other photographers, to be honest, and around other artists. Sometimes it makes me feel like this pressure to seem weirder than I already am, or to like put on a persona, or I just get really quiet and sort of nervous. But for whatever reason, the group just kind of clicked. So after breakfast, we went outside. We had a little getting to know each other game where we would take a portrait of the person across from us and then the line would move down, take a portrait of the next person, and, just repeat that process until everybody had kind of interacted with another person from the group once. After that, we just kind of had free time to roam around, and very quickly established itself that the days were going to be free for people to do whatever they wanted, and basically we just all respected each other enough to want to help the other people find the image that they were looking for or achieve some creative idea. Thursday kind of flew by with all of us doing creative things. We had lunch, cooked again by Mikey, our private chef. I'm going to say it again. We had a private chef, schnitzel, but I've had a lot of schnitzel in Germany. I'm telling you, this is the greatest schnitzel I've ever had in my life. We had a master chef cooking our food for us. It was unbelievable. Rest of the afternoon, we took some more pictures. We went down to the river for a while. I took a few portraits using Cinestill 50D, which I've never shot before in my Rolleiflex. One thing I noticed about 50D is, as the name would suggest, there's barely any grain. It looks a bit like slide film, even to me. And I really liked the color palettes. I haven't been that thrilled with the colors that I've gotten out of my Rolleiflex. Mostly I've shot Kodak Portra, which is an amazing film. It produces or reproduces colors in such an elegant, beautiful way. But I have to say I was a little bit happier with the 50D, and I think I'm going to shoot more of it. In the evening, we had another glorious meal cooked by Mikey, a shepherd's pie with lamb and some sweet potatoes. Next day was a Friday. For lunch, we had another incredible meal cooked by Mikey, in which I tasted for the first time his homemade focaccia bread. I'm never going to be the same again. After lunch, some people in our group were going to go do a gin tasting. Being more of a whiskey man myself, I wasn't that interested, so I used the car that I'd rented, and me and Maxine drove to a nearby beach. And it was beautiful. We couldn't believe it. We were at the beach with sand, with hot sunshine, but with freezing cold water, which I did not get into. On the way, I did take a few portraits of strangers. Then Maxine and I just hung out at the beach. I took a few portraits of Maxine. We had deep talks about life, about relationships. That evening, we had another great meal cooked by Mikey. We had fajitas, and we made a fire. And it was great just to see all these lovely people who were so creative and so dedicated to making art, just having a good time and goofing off. It was great. That brings us into Saturday, which some of us went back to the lake. This time we did a little loop around the lake and took some portraits along the way. Ben was kind enough to loan me his Rolleiflex because I'd left mine back at the house. And so I was shooting FP4 in his Rolleiflex 2.8. When we got back to the house, I knew I also had wanted to shoot some Portra 400 in my Rolleiflex, so I thought like the evening light being really golden, sunset light would be nice for the Portra, so I loaded it in and took one of my favorite portraits of the trip of Izzy. On the last night, we kind of all had the feeling like this is it. This is now or never to get any kind of portraits or ideas that you've been thinking about, or maybe different rooms or backgrounds or various like kind of types of lighting that happen at different times of the day. Like this is the time to do it. So at one point, Maxine on that day did some portraits with a lot of different people kind of all together around Greta, who was sitting on a chair. And that was really, really beautiful to watch, just to see the way people interacted with one another, the way Maxine directed them. And finally, on that last evening, Craig had brought with him a Bolex camera with 16mm film, and he shot some video of us as a group and was kind of directing us how to walk, how to look, and what to do. Just all ended up in the sunshine, close to the house on another hill, all on blankets and drinking wine and talking. I think everybody taken pretty much enough photos to feel like they could take a little rest from that. So it was really just being together as a group, laughing, talking about things that have been our favorite moments from the week. Final day on Sunday, a lot of packing up, a lot of getting ready to go, saying goodbyes. People were leaving at different times because they had different trains or different flights to catch. Ruby was the first one to leave, and we said our goodbyes, and that's sort of when it was clear that things were winding down and that the trip was really ending. It felt a little bit like summer camp on the last day. And yeah, we all went our separate ways. But, one thing that was really nice about the last day was I still had some time because I was flying out the following day on Monday, as was Greta from Frankfurt. So together with Mikey and Sundari, we took a little road trip to the coast where we saw the beach and nearly froze to death. It was a rude awakening, to be honest, after the few days before that, feeling so much like paradise with the weather being gorgeous. Just be like smashed in the face with a cold wind from off the coast. On top of that, we went back out into the ugly world that wasn't as beautiful as the house we'd been in. We stopped in this little cafe to try to get some food, and there was a guy playing accordion. I guess like some Scottish traditional songs on the accordion. Some of the people were singing along. And the whole thing just really felt like the beauty and the magic of the last few days was kind of going through an hourglass and just slowly, going away. And the real world was coming back. Yeah, then we brought Mike and Sundari to the airport, said our goodbyes. Greta and I drove to Inverness, where we spent the night. The next day on Monday, we went around the city a little bit. I took some more pictures with some expired Kodak film and some Ilford FP4. As ugly as the world was and as abrupt as the transition was from the kind of magical pocket of peace that we had at the film gathering, it was nice to be back out on the streets taking portraits of strangers. Right before our flight, Greta and I decided also to do something really wild and crazy, which was we went to hunt for Nessie at the one and only Loch Ness Lake. We actually saw something that looked like a water drone driving itself around as if it were looking for Nessie, and there was a guy who had a van that literally said on the side that he had been looking for the Loch Ness Monster since 1991. After that, Greta and I took the 2 flights back home, connecting through Amsterdam. Always good to travel with somebody else. Even if this is too far away from you, I would recommend check wherever you live, see if there's other meetups like this where people get together for 3 or 4 days and shoot film together, because it really does help to be around other creative people, to grow, to learn more, to learn from them, to put yourself in uncomfortable situations and grow as a person as well as an artist. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, you want to know any more about my camera or the film that I used or whatever, just put a comment below. I'll be happy to let you know. Otherwise, like and subscribe, and check out my Instagram as well as the Instagrams of everybody else that was on this trip, which I'll put in the description as well. There's just so many talented photographers who were there in Scotland as a part of the group, and it would be a pity if you didn't introduce yourself to their work, Go check him out, and thanks for watching.